The presidency, the Department of Basic Education, lauding a class of 2024, an 87.3% pass rate. It is the first time in which every province in South Africa received a pass rate above 84%. But this class of 2024 hasn't come without its challenges, of course. When they started a high school career, or many of them, when they started a high school career, it was in 2020, just going into a pandemic and a lockdown. The concept of distanced or remote learning, innovations that have had to be made to keep learning going. That's what we experienced in South Africa. Professor Mary Metcalfe joins me now on the line. Your thoughts on the class of 2024 largely being congratulated at 87.3% pass rate for the class of 2024. Mary, good morning.
Good morning, Lester. Well, I think we do need to celebrate that so many learners have succeeded. What I always think is useful is to move away from the single analysis of the pass rate to a careful look at what it means across the country, who's included, who's not included, and what does it mean as an instrument to better understand what needs to improve in education.
Also, what we need to analyze is the on average 40% dropout rate from a learner who starts in grade 1, spends the next 12 years, or doesn't spend the next 12 years in education, because there's only 60% of those who started in grade 1 will finish 12 years of formal schooling, Mary.
Absolutely, and this is one of the areas where I am not convinced of the analysis provided by the DBE. The issue of how many learners do not make it to grade 12 in order to write the National Senior Certificate has been a theme of a critical analysis of the results for many, many, many years. What the DBE has responded by doing is developing an instrument which they call the inclusive basket, which looks at how by province the Matric, the NSC result together with performance in, for example, maths, and they include a concept of retention. Now, their figures for retention are very interesting, and people listening in the Western Cape will be pleased to know, I hope, that the Western Cape, according to the DBE figures, has the highest level of retention. This is a figure that should be put side by side with the NEC results. So the Western Cape's retention figure, according to the DBE, is about 70%, just short of 70%. And that's the leading province, according to these figures, of keeping learners within the system. But I'm not sure that these figures are entirely accurate, because one of the causes of concern that should be top of mind for all South Africans is how many young people we have who are not in employment, not in education, and not in training. And the acronym for that is NEET, not in education, employment, and training. And the figures that we get from Stats SA and the quarterly labor force statistics is that in the age group 15 to 24, I'll come back to that, we've got as many as 3.7 million young South Africans who are nowhere. We need to know where they are. The issue of 15-year-olds is, of course, an inclusion of young people who may have left school very early because they're not in education. But the growing number of young people who don't necessarily feel that they see a way forward for themselves through education, through training to employment must be of concern.
Then what's your thoughts then on allowing learners to leave a system to seek an opportunity outside of traditional formal education. There is touted a school leaving certificate, I think in grade 10. The thought thought
Okay.
process behind that is then to filter learners who won't complete 12 years of schooling, but then to filter them into some form of other non-formal education and training.
Okay, thank you for that question, because part of the original design of our education system was that there would be a certificate, which would be NQF level 1 at the end of grade 9. Why grade 9? Is because we have, by law, compulsory education, now from grade R, previously from grade 1 to grade 9. So you have to stay in school until the age of 15 or completing grade 9. Now, the DBE has, in my view, been very slow in formalizing the general education certificate. They're doing some explorations, but they do not yet have it formally registered as a qualification, which would be level 1 on the National Qualifications Framework. When that is introduced, I think it will have many positive benefits, because it would mean at the end of grade 9, learners would have a sense of their performance relative to the whole country. At the moment, you don't get that from a school report. You know how you're doing at school, but you don't know how that fits in your province and in the country. Once learners get the grade 9 certificate, the GEC, General Education Certificate, they will then get some guidance in terms of where their future prospects are most appropriate. And that is where the alignment of offerings between basic education and the Department of Higher Education and Training becomes quite crucial, because the options would then be to continue in the DBE pursuing NQF level 4 through the National Senior Certificate, or moving into the education and training sphere, which includes TVETs, which includes community colleges, which includes workplace education. Now, there's always been a resistance, which I've understood, to saying this is streaming learners into opportunities where, in fact, the disadvantaged will be further disadvantaged, because it will be easier for them to be directed towards a non-academic future. However, the National Qualifications Framework provides an opportunity for learners to perhaps go different routes. But because all of the qualifications are recognized and aligned, you can take a route through a college, continue to accredit different levels within the NQF, and still pursue an academic option later if you would wish to. So if we make the National Qualifications Framework work for everyone, there's multiple pathways within career options and across career options.
Mary,
Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but again, not to diminish the importance of the Matric Senior Certificate. It means the world to an individual, also to the families who have seen young people through 12 years of formal education. But has the world also changed? I know of several big corporates who will acknowledge an entry-level position without a national senior certificate, but if you can show a certain level of either work, training experience, life experience, for them to at least enter into a shop-level job. Your thoughts on that?
Lester, I think that it's important for young people who may be disappointed, who feel that their results represent the closing of a door, to understand that what life is really about pursuing the options you have and building a future based on your immediate possibilities. And your immediate possibilities may very well be not as what you would have liked, but to accumulate work experience, experience in community, volunteering, working within structures that would give you not only an opportunity to gain work experience, to prove yourself, but also perhaps to study part-time, to see that you do have a contribution to make to society, and to keep feeling positive is the most important thing, I think, on a day like this, where there will be disappointed young people.
Professor Mary Metcalfe, really appreciate your time.